went and I thought, okay, with these young people's hopes and fears ringing in my ears, what are some good role models for leaders, some you've heard of, some you haven't, who thought differently about where to get a source of power and how to make connections so that people could stand out as themselves and fit into something greater. And that's what the book is about.
Recognize that voice?
No, should I?
Not really. He's famous but not well known, if that makes sense. That was Matthew Barzun, a close ally of US President Barack Obama. He's a political and business high flyer, and crucially, for our purposes, he's the author of a book we're featuring on This Week Those Books. So, welcome everyone. I'm Rashmi Roshan Lal.
And I'm Michael Macy.
This week we're looking at the 75th anniversary summit in Washington, D.C. of the NATO military alliance, but only in the sense that our focus is on the leaders who are attending.
Leaders or leadership?
Both. We're looking at how strong is our perception of the leadership offered by the leaders attending the NATO summit. Some of those leaders are, I would say, living, breathing examples of how much power depends on perception rather than reality.
Right, I think I know what you mean. For example, US President Joe Biden has the most powerful job in the world, but right now he appears weak.
Yes, and Britain's Keir Starmer, who's Prime Minister of a middling power, it's fair to say, is projecting an impression of strength both for himself and his country.
And well, over in France, President Emmanuel Macron, who's 46, is a diminished figure despite his youth and the powers of his office.
And in Germany, Chancellor Olaf Scholz is in the doldrums because his coalition government suffered what is acknowledged to be painful humiliation at the hands of the far-right After Party in June's European Parliament elections. So I guess the reason we perceive these leaders as strong or weak is part of their backstory.
Well, that's a lot to think about. Should we look at this week's books?
Yes, this week we have two very interesting books that really do shed new light on leadership and power. One book is about how to be a good leader, and the second is about someone who wasn't.
Well, the first book is The Power of Giving Away Power, How the Best Leaders Learn to Let Go, and it's by Matthew Barzun.
The very man we heard at the top of this pod.
Yes, and he's explained where a leader can find the source of real power.
It's an intriguing argument that he makes, and listeners would probably have a hard time guessing where he says the source of power really is.
Well, clearly the person in the second book hadn't found the source of real power, because you said they weren't a good leader.
It depends on whether or not a dictator can be called a good leader. They're effective in that they have control, absolute control, but are they the leader we want? Are they the leader we need?
Well, what is the book?
It's The Feast of the Goat by the Peruvian Nobel laureate Mario Vargas Llosa.
Is this fact or fiction?
It's a novel, but it's got a fair amount of historical fact and truths in it because it's about a real person.
Are we allowed to say who?
Let's just say it's someone in a Spanish-speaking country and that he wielded power against his people like a machete.
Well, he certainly doesn't sound like a good leader by anyone's definition.
Yeah, but this is a good book by probably most everyone's definition. In fact, it's a brilliant, a mesmerizing book. Please read This Week Those Books to find out more. We give you the summary and the quotes.
Makes you smarter, faster.
See you same time next week. Bye-bye.